The Kraith called her Velakara, demon in flesh. When Seleni's pod crashed on their frozen moon, the elders saw her smooth skin, her blunt teeth, her forward-facing eyes, and declared her an omen of darkness. They built cages of bone and iron, whispering prayers to keep the evil contained. Selene did not fight them. She had seen enough violence in the war that destroyed her ship, enough death among stars that should have been peaceful. When the Kraith warriors dragged her through their crystalline city, she kept her hands visible, her movements slow. She had studied their language during the descent, her neural implant absorbing their broadcasts. She understood every curse they spat at her feet. The cage stood at the edge of their settlement where the ice storms howled through the night. They gave her no fire, no furs, believing demons thrived in suffering. The Kraith were a hardy species, covered in thick mottled fur with eyes like molten gold and claws that could carve stone. They had survived this brutal moon for 10,000 cycles. A demon would survive too, or it would perish. Either outcome pleased the elders. But Selene did not perish. Human physiology, forged in the crucible of Earth's chaos, adapted. She tore strips from her flight suit, wrapping them around her extremities. She exercised constantly, generating heat through movement. She ate the frozen scraps they threw at her, her body extracting nutrients they assumed would poison any living thing. When the storms came, she wedged herself into the corner of the cage, making her body small, conserving every calorie of warmth. The Kraith watched with growing unease. Demons should rage. They should threaten. This one simply endured. The cubs were the first to creep closer. Young Kraith possessed an insatiable curiosity that their elders had long suppressed. Among them was Tor, a small cub with unusually bright eyes and a twisted left leg that made him walk with a pronounced limp. The other cubs ran and played, but Tor watched. He observed the demon that did not die. One evening, as the twin suns set and painted the ice in shades of amber, Tor approached the cage alone. Selene sat with her back against the bars, her breath forming clouds in the frigid air. She did not turn when she heard his uneven footsteps. "They say you eat souls," Tor said softly, his voice barely above the wind. Selene closed her eyes. "I do not. They say you feel no pain. I feel everything." Tor settled onto the ice just beyond Claw's reach of the cage. "Then why do you not scream? Would it change anything?" Selene asked, finally turning to look at him. The cub flinched at her alien face but did not flee. "Would your elders free me if I screamed? Or would they be satisfied that the demon finally showed its true nature?" The cub had no answer. He visited again the next night and the night after. He brought questions and Selene answered them with patience that surprised even herself. She told him about Earth, about oceans that stretched beyond sight, about forests where trees grew taller than the Kraith's highest spires. She told him about humanity's wars, their mistakes, their endless capacity to hurt themselves and each other. "If your kind is so violent," Tor asked one night, "why have you not tried to escape? You could hurt the guards. I have seen your strength when you exercise." Selene was quiet for a long moment. "Because I'm tired of violence, little one. Because I have seen where it leads." Winter deepened. The storms grew more ferocious. Selene's movements became slower, her responses to Tor's questions more delayed. The cub noticed the tremors in her hands, the way her lips had turned blue beneath the grime. Then came the night of the great storm, a phenomenon that occurred once every several cycles. The elders ordered everyone into the deep shelters carved far beneath the ice. They debated briefly about the demon in the cage, whether to bring her below or let the storm decide her fate. "Let the elements judge," the eldest declared. "If she survives, perhaps the gods have use for her yet." They descended every last Kraith into safety. All except Tor. The cub hid behind an ice formation as the settlement emptied. His heart hammered against his small chest. He knew what he was about to do was forbidden. He knew the punishment for freeing a demon. But he had watched Selene for weeks now, had seen her shiver and suffer, had heard her speak of her world with both love and sorrow. Demons did not love. Demons did not mourn. The storm hit like a physical wall, winds shrieking with voices of the damned. Tor stumbled toward the cage, his weak leg nearly giving out on the ice. He could barely see through the driving snow and ice crystals that cut like knives. "Tor," Selene's voice cut through the chaos. She had pressed herself against the bars, her eyes wide. "Get to shelter." Now, the lock, Tor shouted back, his small claws working at the mechanism. I can open it! Forget me.
You'll die out here!
So will you. The cub's voice cracked. And you do not deserve to die. The lock gave way. The cage door swung open. Celine stumbled out, her legs barely holding her after weeks of confinement and cold. The wind immediately knocked her sideways. She would have fallen if Tor hadn't pressed against her, offering his small body as support. The shelters are too far, Celine gasped, analyzing their situation with the last clarity her hypothermic mind could muster. We need there, a shallow ice cave barely visible through the storm. It would have to do. Celine half-carried, half-dragged Tor into the depression. The storm's fury dimmed slightly, just enough. She pulled the cub against her chest, wrapping her body around him, using her larger mass to shield him from the worst of the cold. Her flight suit, tattered as it was, provided more insulation than his fur alone could manage. Why? Tor whispered, shaking against her. Why protect me? I am Kraith. We caged you. We called you demon. Celine's arms tightened around him. In the howling darkness, with death circling like a predator, something broke inside her, or perhaps something finally healed. Because you are a child, she whispered, her voice raw. Because you saw me when no one else would. Because you are brave and curious and kind, and the universe needs more of that. Not less. Tears froze on her cheeks as she spoke, crystallizing into tiny diamonds of ice. Because I have taken lives in war, Tor. I have watched friends die in the void. And I am so tired of death. The cub felt wetness on his fur. The demon was crying. Actually crying. The realization struck him with the force of revelation. Then why does the demon weep for us? Tor asked, his young voice filled with wonder and understanding far beyond his years. Celine had no answer but the truth. Because demons don't exist, little one. There are only people. And people weep. They survived the storm together, human and Kraith, warmth shared between two beings that should have been enemies. When the winds finally died and the settlement emerged from their shelters, they found Celine and Tor unconscious in the ice cave, still wrapped around each other. The elders stood in silence, staring at the scene, at the demon who had sacrificed her chance of escape to save a crippled cub, at the child who had defied every law to free her. The eldest Kraith stepped forward, her ancient eyes seeing clearly for the first time in years. She knelt in the snow before Celine and spoke a single word that changed everything. Sister. Celine's title changed that day. No longer Velakara, demon in flesh, but Velakana, soul of compassion. And when her rescue finally came, when human ships arrived seeking their lost pilot, Celine stood between two worlds and made a choice. She would stay. She would teach. She would build bridges between species that had never known each other existed, because that was what humans did best. Not destroy, not conquer, but survive, adapt, and ultimately connect. And beside her always walked Tor, the cub who had seen past fear to truth, who had asked the question that shattered prejudice. Why does the demon weep for us? The answer had saved them both.